Today we are going to talk about how to sell without selling, making six figures. And this is something I've taught my clients, and people have gone on to teach other people that built their companies making 6 and 7 figures. The first thing I want to say, which is very powerful, is that you become who you surround yourself with. Think about that. You become who you surround yourself with. So if you are surrounding yourself with people that complain or demeaning you or being condescending, it can rub off and you can become that person. All right. Now, on a positive note, what I'm going to do today is, for those of you who have my course, this is the first thing you are going to listen to before you start the video course on social media, whether it's branding, social media, how to implement gratitude to advance your business and your marketing career. This is the first thing you will listen to. So this is massively going to impact your business, your career, your sales. I've coached and mentored people that are musicians, consultants, writers, authors, home-based businesses. And the one universal thing that everyone shares on a professional level, this is the one secret that everybody shares, and we're going to go over it in a minute. But however, if it's put into the wrong hands to manipulate and control, it can come back and bite you in the rear and make things much, much worse for you. So on the front end, it may seem better, but if you use this to get just what you want first, it won't work. I mean, how many of you hate being manipulated and controlled? How many of you hate that? I can't stand it. So you do not want to use this secret tool to manipulate and control others. It will not work. It will create a huge problem. Now, how many people do you know have a problem communicating? Or how many people do you have a problem communicating with? Okay? Do you have some people you just can't talk to? Seriously, do you have some people in your business career or even your personal life you just cannot talk to? Like there's this wall of tension. You can feel an atmosphere change when you get around these people in business. So I'm going to teach you how to build bridges versus walls of tension online and offline, using gratitude to advance your business as well as better communication skills. Okay? This massively will transform the way you communicate with others online, okay, and offline. How you can build a dynasty or a legacy by communicating, okay? You want to communicate effectively, not, repel people, okay? This can drastically change your communication. So I'm going to help you change that, and we're going to get people to recommend you for your business, all right? Mobilize people online to tell people about you, versus them not telling people about you, okay? Because sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. Now, the first thing I'm going to go through, and I'm very adamant about this, is that your product is not the service or product in which you're marketing. Your product is people. Every person is in sales, selling a product, service, ideas, or yourself. All musicians, pastors, authors are in sales. Think about it. And if they are starving, unfortunately, like my mentor told me, they do not know how to sell. Every realtor, musician, pastor, president, manager, hairdresser, doctor, nurse, attorney, mortgage broker, photographer, video person is in sales. Even a security guard is in sales. Flight attendants are in sales, okay? But most don't know they are in sales, okay? Most don't think they are in sales because they've had a bad experience with the salesman. So you don't want to be associated with somebody in sales. For instance, with myself, I cannot stand, there's two things I can't stand: going to look for a car because I'm followed around like a vulture, or buying a home, because I've had a bad experience in sales. And so people do not want to be associated with the term that you are in sales, but you are, okay? A lot of you have agents or managers that sell, or you've hired them to get a percentage to sell a product for you. However, the problem with that is that they are selling the other person, not coming across with a genuine interest in another. And we are going to talk about that. Now, some of you might be saying, but I'm a mom, I'm not in sales. Yes, you are. You sell your kids on cleaning their room. You sell your kids on eating vegetables versus cakes or cookies, okay? If they don't clean their room, then guess what? You stink at sales. You sell products, service, ideas, or yourself, okay? And when we are ignorant of that concept that we are all in sales, we blame the economy, too much competition, our lives are too busy, lack of connections. We even blame Trump because we do not know how to sell without selling. Now, you just said, well, Barty, you don't want to sell. But there is a way to come across and sell without selling through communication, through gratitude, and other, powerful ideas that I'm going to give you today. Okay, so you have enough connections to explode your business. You really do. The lock is the lack of understanding of sales and lack of skills with people. Okay, some of you, like I said, the lock is the lack of understanding of sales and the lack of skills with people. When your product is people, not the product, service, idea you are selling. That is just fact, okay? Arguments happen in business because somebody is trying to sell you something at the same time. Why in business you might be having a problem with someone is that you're both trying to sell each other at the same time. But what if I could show you how to sell without selling online? Confusing, huh? Don't sell like the rest of the people online, okay? They are unprofessional, only in it for themselves or for personal gain. It's a very unprofessional approach to sales. They want to shove a product, service, idea, music, CD down your throat. And that is where people get turned off, okay? So we're going to talk first about an amateur versus professional, okay? An amateur doesn't know what they are doing. They vomit, they shove down people's throat, whatever their product, idea, music, gig, event that they're selling. And that does not work. I mean, how many of you like to have a product, idea, or anything shoved down your throat? You don't. That is manipulation and control. If you go into a store, okay, you go into a store to buy a cell phone, and you walk in and the salesman immediately, you're asking for, let's say, the iPhone. And he tells you about all the benefits, okay? And he's giving you all the perks, the tweaks, the magic things of this phone. You're going to get overwhelmed and you're going to be like, I will think about it, okay? How many of you have been in an environment where you go into a place and they overwhelm you with, all the perks and the tweaks and the everything for you to say, I'll think about it, okay? I will think about it. So how many of you have had your boss, your kids, employees, or even people you work with say, I will think about it? Seriously. If you ever had that objection, it's because you overloaded them with too much information that they don't care about, okay? Now, why would I, let's say, go into a store and buy a very expensive phone for my spouse or my husband, okay? So I want you to think about this. Gratitude makes them feel good, okay? The salesman that we were talking about, he is unprofessional, okay? And he's an amateur. He's selling her what she thinks she wants versus what she really wants. Okay, so he's thinking she wants a phone with all these gadgets and so forth. But what she really wants is to, guess what, make her husband happy, or whoever it is happy, okay? So your product is people. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. So your future clients, your boss, your employees are people. Doctors who make their product people versus the medical profession, they don't get sued versus the other. Everything is based on relationships, okay? Everything is based on relationships, not loyal to products, but to people. Musicians, your product is music. Here's the catch. If your product is music, you have to figure out why they would want to buy it. If you're a jerk, they're not going to want to buy your music. There are many musicians out there, for instance, that you can't understand a word they're saying, and some people think their music is awful, but they're selling millions of CDs. They're selling millions because of the people around them, and also their personality can have a play in it. But a lot of it, is the people around them, okay? So I want you to think about this. You got to understand people, all right? People could care less about what you know unless they know how much you care. But you are sitting there saying you care for people, okay? You could care for people but not have the skills to communicate with them. And what is communicated is that you don't care. I'm going to repeat that. So in sales, what I was just saying, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, okay? People could care less about what you know unless they know how much you care. And like I said, you could care for people but not have the skills to communicate it. And what is communicated is that you don't care. And later in this audio, we are going to talk about expressing yourself, how some people have a problem expressing themselves on a personal level and not a business level, and why that is, or why they have a problem communicating and expressing themselves on a business level. So why do people not know how to communicate? If you grew up in a broken or abusive home, dysfunctional, you were trained, okay? That is your training ground. We learn how to survive. We learn how to manipulate, control, or sit down and shut up. We might have seen fighting, screaming, and this is what we were trained to see. Therefore, that is our own communication level. So for me, I was raised, children were to be seen, not heard. So I learned not to have a voice, not to speak. It was at a much later age that I realized, I wrote The Power of Asking, is that I need to use my voice or I'm not going to be heard. And that if I don't use my voice, I'm going to end up staying stuck where I'm at the rest of my life. And I did not want that. And I know many of you do not want to stay where you're at in your life. So what we learned coming from a dysfunctional relationship or a family is how to communicate, how to basically just, poor coping skills. For me, I cannot stand conflict. I have conflict, I will run. I used to run, but it does not work well when you're an adult, okay? And it does not work well having relationships with people if you continue the patterns that you had growing up as a child, not expressing yourself, and running, and does not work when you're an adult. So again, your product is not the product, idea, service you're selling, it's people. Now, I know that I'm repeating myself, but I cannot express to you enough how important this is. If you can find out what moves people, you will never, ever have a problem in your career. If you can find out what others want, you will be unusually successful. How do you exactly create a desire in another individual to say yes? Yes to hiring you, yes to referrals, yes to paying. And like I said, People are loyal to people, not product. There will always